Welcome back. This is Jeff Stanislow, and it's time to go low right here on AM 820, serving the greater Tampa Bay area and all over on the www World Wide Web on our YouTube station. Check out golfersunite.com for more. We have our special guest back for a second segment. It is Mike Hicks, who is always on our Caddy's Corner. Payne Stewart's former caddy, major winner. And now we have Timothy Palmer from Looper Talk joining us, carrying over for our first segment because we barely got into the woods talking about the caddy world. So thanks again for coming back, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yep.
So we were just kind of, talking about the caddy world and certifications, and Tim's working on a really cool app idea that's in beta about connecting caddies with players. We really love it. We went off tangent when we were off the air about this, but I wanted to get us back on course to talk a little bit more about a situation which arose, and that is the vote at Pebble Beach, the unionization vote. This is something that's pretty serious and kind of rocked the caddy world, the golf world for that matter, where the caddies voted by 76% in favor to unionize with Unite Here Local 19. No relations to Golfers Unite. Let's put it that way. Just on a quick blush, Mike, what are your thoughts about caddies unionizing?
I had no idea. This is all news to me. So
we should probably pick this one up and kick it over to Tim, who's actually.
Kick that one to Tim. This is the first time I've heard of the caddies at Pebble Beach unionizing. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
Your 40-year career kind of excludes you for some.
So they obviously have left Caddy Master then.
That's what the discussion's all about. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I love it. I think there was a situation there that didn't need to be fixed, and someone came in there trying to fix it, and in essence they were more or less trying to take some of their funding from what the caddies make, and they were trying to propose it in a way to where they get a 401k and all this stuff, but it took away a lot of freedom from them. And so I'm all in for it. I've been given information from quite a few of them. I have a few buddies out there, and they were telling me the whole backstory. And I think them unionizing gives caddy back that backbone of being independent contractors, and rightfully so. And they did a very good job. That's why Pebble Beach is #1 golf course in the United States. I think a lot of that experience is catered to caddies. They provide a big pillar for that experience, or for that experience. So I really do think that what they're doing is they are giving inspiration for many caddy yards to get back into the original ways of caddying, which is independent contractors. We deal with our own finances. We pay our own taxes. We sort of have that freedom again. And yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, they basically wanted to make them employees. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820 Tampa Bay. Check out Golfers Unite. That's who's sponsoring this, golfersunite.com. And our friend Mike Hicks, MikeHicksGolf.com. If you want to reach out to Mike and maybe even have it on your bag or come speak at a special event, check out MikeHicksGolf.com. So there was 300 caddies at Pebble Beach Golf Links, Spyglass, the Links of Spanish Bay, and Del Monte that all got together, and they are all employed by Caddy Master. So they wanted to bring them in as hourly employees and take away their independence. And, they touted the corporate line like, 401ks and stuff like that. But the caddies just said that this should be an independent situation, and they voted on it. 76% agreed. Mike, your life has been revolved around an independent caddy. You've been on the bags with, Payne Stewart and the highest level of professionals. What was like a contract with there? Was it a handshake deal? Did you actually have contracts with these people?
Verbal. It's all verbal. And let me tell you, I've been paying my own health insurance. I pay my own travel. I mean, I'm an independent contractor. I mean, I've got, I contribute to my own 401k. I mean, the PGA Tour as much as they control the caddies to a certain extent, and they do, all the rest of it, it's a handshake and a verbal contract. You could be here today, gone tomorrow. I've seen it happen. So there are no contracts. You're not signing anything. They can let you go. There's no 2-week notice. I had one guy over 42 years that gave me a 2-week notice, and that was Don Pooley back in 1982 or whatever it was. And he stood to that. He gave me the next 2 weeks, and that gave me plenty of time to find another job, because when I was doing it, there was only 60 of us traveling each week, so there was plenty of work. So yeah, I mean, kudos to the Pebble Beach guys. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm glad they did that. I can't believe, I know the director of golf there personally, and I can't believe that, and I'm not saying he had anything to do with it. I'm sure that was all, ownership wanting to do that. I can't believe that my friend would have anything to do with that. But kudos to the caddies for standing up. I mean, that's BS. Hourly wage. Okay, hourly wage. I want $250 an hour. I'm going to be out there 5 hours. That's $12.50. I can work with that.
Yeah.
No, they wanted to pay him just a little bit over minimum wage in California.
Yeah, exactly. So come on.
An hour. It's this is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. Check out, we have free membership where you can get access, get the hookup for 4 deals for free, including brands like Pinned, foundgolfballs.com, Bangarang Golf, and more. And for $30 for the year, you get access to 14 more great brand deals. So, I think David Stivers, the CEO of Pebble, basically said, hey, listen, I support the vote. They kind of had to be kind of Switzerland no matter which way it went. But I think he really likes the ideas of having the best caddies at one of the best resorts that they can get, and they should earn the wages that merits the way they caddy and how they treat people. So, Tim,
so let me jump in here. Let me say this. First of all, there's over half of America could not walk 18 holes and carry a bag, much less 2 bags. Let me just say that. So, you're taking half the population couldn't even physically do what a caddy does. Am I right or wrong? Do you agree with that, Tim?
100%.
And listen,
100%.
you can't believe how hard that is to do 18 holes. Now, if you're carrying a tour bag, I mean, it might be comparable to carrying 2. Carrying 2 is just, I've done it. I couldn't do it full time. There's just no way. Carrying a staff bag was hard enough. Then you factor in weather and elements. And like I said, half of America could not do it, and it's about time that caddies are getting their due here, especially resort and club caddies, because not many people could do it, could walk 18 holes and carry 1, much less 2.
Tim, Timothy Palmer, Looper Talk, on with us today on the Let's Go Low show here. What was the banter at Bandon about this whole thing? I'm sure everybody was tuned in, and it was, topic of discussion back in the barn and what have you. What was the sentiment?
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but according to who I spoke with, we have 600 caddies at our yard, 600 plus. So there's quite a few personalities. Yes, I think predominantly majority, we were in favor of it. We agreed totally, especially with what Mike's saying, that we are 100% for what Pebble Beach is doing. There obviously was some talks that if that ever happened at Bandon, how that would work out. We would obviously do the same thing. I think that was more of a fantasizing situation there. But in terms of being with the Pebble Beach caddies, we are 100% with them on this. And again, I don't want to speak to everybody from the Bandon yard, but I would say the vast majority of us would agree with what they're doing.
Yeah, some of the other top resorts like Pinehurst and Streamsong, Kiowa, Streamsong here being in Florida, only about an hour away from Tampa, where our listeners are from. They're all keeping eyes on this, and at some point, at some time, one of these guys, one of these corporate people are gonna, be able to give them all the promises and get them to kind of move into this corporate environment. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on, but I think the mystique and the part of just being an average golfer who goes out on these trips and enjoys these experiences is part of the lure, is working with the independent caddy and getting their vibe, and then getting, and the good caddies are going to rise to the crop, the cream of the crop, and be requested, and the bad caddies aren't going to make as much money because they're not putting the work in, the time, or they're not really getting an understanding or a vibe with their players, and then they'll move on. It's just like it's macroeconomics in a microcosm world. Mike Hicks joining us here. Mike's Payne Stewart's former caddy, kind of weighed in on the situation in regards to being an independent category at the highest level. These tell us a story, Mike, about maybe getting hired or getting let go by one of your tour players that might be memorable.
Well, I mean, so Payne got in 99, 2000. I start with Bob Estes, and I caddied for him a couple of months, and I was like, you know what, I can't deal with this guy. But he was in the British Open, which was at St. Andrews in July. So in February, I was like, man, this is not for me. But because he was exempt into St. Andrews, and I wanted to go back to St. Andrews. So I stuck with him, but I was quitting him right after St. Andrews. I could not wait for that week to be over. And as it turns out, he was probably laying 8th with 9 holes to go. He had a shot at, having a really good week. And then in typical Bob fashion back in those days, he, didn't play very well in the back 9. And so that week ended, and I got a call from Charles Howell's agent. He was turning pro out of Oklahoma State. He was going to play 4 weeks in a row. And so the 4th week, he just signed a deal with Callaway. Now, he was a Peen guy his whole life, through college, growing up. Peen, Titleist golf ball. He signs with Callaway. Callaway just comes out with a ball. That's the first year they had a golf ball. Well, this golf ball went miles. Like back in 2000, he's hitting a 6-iron that's flying 210, okay, which was unheard of. His sand wedge would go 140 yards. I mean, he no control whatsoever. So the 4th week, he misses the first 3 weeks, first 3 cuts. 4th week, he makes the cut. We're in San Antonio. Makes the cut, and I said to him on Friday after we made the cut, I said, Charles, I said, let's play the Titleist ball this weekend and just see if it's the ball or if it's these clubs that need adjusting. So he plays the Titleist golf ball, finishes 8th, 9th, finishes top 10, best week he'd ever had as a pro. He played in 4. So I'm supposed to fly private with him from San Antonio to Columbus, Georgia. I'm standing outside his hotel room. Phone rings. It's his agent. We're going to go a different direction next week. Eli Callaway saw that he played the Titleist ball, and Charles said that you made him do it. And I went, dude, I didn't make him do anything. I just suggested it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So I got the boot right there after having a great week, just suggesting that he try to find out what was going on, right?
Yeah, process of elimination.
Process of elimination. Is it the club? Is it the ball? Science. Is it both? What is it? And I got the boot right there. Stranded in San Antonio. I'd given my rental car to a buddy to turn in. I got no flight. I got nothing.
This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to a great episode of Let's Go Low here. We're talking caddies on the Caddies Corner with Mike Hick, Payne Stewart's caddy, and formerly Charles Howell caddy. We got Timothy Palmer on with us from Looper Talk. Timothy, we got another minute or so. Why don't you tell us a story maybe with one of your caddy, one of your experiences with one of your guys that our audience might like?
Oh, okay. I caddy for these gentlemen that own a bunch of retirement homes. And I had a guy down in Florida, ironically. He owned a bunch down there. And so they played this game Scotch, and they were playing for $100 a point, and they would double the bet. So it got real pricey. The good news is this money was donated to the Evans Fund at the end. So on the 18th hole of the last day, we were down 70 grand. And I had to read a putt for 18 grand. And luckily we missed. So now we're down 88 grand. And he ended up having to write a check at the end. And again, the money was donated. So it was really nice deal. But it was so funny because you could see the sweat pouring down his face walking down 18 abandoned. I told him right edge, and we pushed it about a ball and a half out, and it just barely crept around the edge. And so, yeah, that was real entertaining for me watching. So
was your loop donated as well?
Yeah. Well, I made sure that I was getting paid by the end of it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny because the guy I was caddying for, he goes, "Hey man, we gonna settle this up or what or not?" And he pulls out a checkbook out of his bag and just writes out the check. But he did. He wrote it out to the Evans Fund. And that was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but all that money got donated. So
that's cool. That's a cool story. That's
all right, guys. That's another episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820. This is Jeff Stanislaw, your host from Golfers Unite. Take care, Tampa. We'll be back.